Hi everyone! Thank you so much for joining me today. We are live to have a question and answer session about the various national park extra reservations that are required for 2021. And I just wanted to sit down and have a real candid chat with you, answer all your questions, make sure that everything you need to know we cover today, and to also take any questions that you have. So real quick, my name is Ash. I'm a former park ranger. I'm a founder of Dirt in My Shoes, and my website is all about the national parks. I'm obsessed with the parks. I love travel planning for the national parks, and so that's what I'm here to help you do as well. And so today, again, we're going to talk about these national park reservations that you're going to need above and beyond the regular ones that you'll usually encounter. So there are 5 parks that we're going to talk about today that need these special reservations. We have Acadia, Glacier, Rocky Mountain, Yosemite, and Zion. If the park is not listed in that list, then no reservations, extra reservations are needed at this time. And so I know I had a lot of questions about some other national parks. Nothing so far. Just those 5 national parks are the ones that are going to need some extra planning and preparation. So we're going to talk about that today. I kind of wanted to talk about how I'm going to do this because I'd like to keep all of the national parks separate so that things don't get muddled as we talk about each park. Each park has a different system and a different thing that they're doing this year. So I will start with Acadia, and then I'll go through, I'll kind of take a few minutes to explain the process, and then I'll give you a chance to ask your questions specific to that park that I'm talking about. And we'll just move through the various parks in that way so that we can keep all of the information separate. So again, thank you for joining me. I have a ton to cover today. You guys submitted a ton of questions. If you are viewing this live, feel free to leave your questions when I ask for them for that specific park. And we'll make sure we get to all the questions today. So with that, let's jump right into Acadia National Park. And okay, so for Acadia National Park this year, this is actually really interesting because they are requiring extra reservations if you want to go to Cadillac Mountain, the summit of Cadillac Mountain. And they actually have had this process in the works for years. They've been trying to find a way to get this in place, and it just kind of happens to coincide with all the COVID closures and everything. And so it's actually something that they've been working on, and this is likely a reservation that won't go away, I wouldn't think. So, and they're also talking about maybe adding some additional areas of the park that will also need reservations. So for Acadia, if you want to drive to the summit of Cadillac Mountain, then you need an extra reservation. You don't need one if you don't want to drive to the summit of Cadillac Mountain. So that's all you have to worry about. If you want to drive to the top of the mountain, you will need it. If you don't care to, then you won't need it. No other extra reservations are in place as far as like entering the park or going to any of the other sections of the park. It's just Cadillac Mountain for this year. And if you're watching this in the future, just know all of these things can change. It's a very fluid situation right now, and so you'll want to check the website to make sure all of this is still accurate for further in the future. But for right now, April 2021, that's the situation we have. So if you are going to drive to the top of Cadillac Mountain, you will need a reservation from May 26th through October 19th, 2021. Those are the dates that they will be checking those reservations. And what you'll need to do, and what I suggest doing, is go to the Acadia National Park Service website. So it's nps.gov/ACAD. And right there on the first page, I have it pulled up right over here, you'll see a section that says Vehicle Reservations for Cadillac Summit. That's where you'll go to get all this information. But I checked, so all these reservations will be made on recreation.gov, and that's the site that you'll want to get really familiar with. Make an account. You can do that today. Make your account today. and then just kind of poke around the site and see kind of what they're doing for each park's reservations. So again, that's recreation.gov. You'll go over there. If you click over there for Acadia today and look for the Cadillac Summit reservations, there's plenty. So don't panic, but there are still reservations available if you want to drive to the top. Otherwise, and they are already open, so if it's on a 90-day rolling basis. And so if your trip is, say, in August, then you would make your reservation in May for 90 days in advance. And it's on a day-by-day release. And so you'll want to do 90 days to the day of that. So anyway, and for Acadia, they have two different types of reservations for the Cadillac Summit. One, if you want a sunrise reservation, if you want to be up there between the hours, it's like 3:30 to 5:30 a.m. to see the sunrise off Cadillac Mountain, which is very, very popular. Those are going to be the hardest ones to get. But so you have that type, and then you also have the daytime reservations. Those are your normal hours. I think they start at like 6:30 to like 8:30 p.m. 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. So it's the all-day ones. So you choose. If you want to do a sunrise one, then try to get one of those. If you just want regular daytime time, then you'll click on the daytime ones. And then you'll just need to make your reservation at it. You will have to pick a specific time to be there, and then it will also be a per vehicle reservation. So you don't need to get one for every person in your group, just for your vehicle. And then when you get that printed out, take it with you. I always suggest having a hard copy when you're in the national parks, because you never know if your phone's going to work or if something's going to happen. So print it off, take it with you. You will show it to a ranger at the bottom of the Cadillac Mountain, and then they will usher you on through to go up, drive to the top and park. So those ones are pretty straightforward. Again, if you want to go to any other part of the park, you don't need an extra reservation. This is just for Cadillac Mountain. If you are not able to get a reservation 90 days in advance, then they do have extra reservations that they've withheld, and those will be released 2 days in advance at 10 a.m. Eastern. So if for some reason you get on there and everything's all booked up, just know 2 days in advance you can try again for those same times. And then you can hike or bike or take a taxi to the top if for some reason all of those reservations are taken. So you have a couple different options there. Again, if you're not able to get a reservation and you can't hike, bike, taxi, whatever, and you just have to skip Cadillac Mountain, it won't completely ruin your vacation. You'll still be able to get into Acadia and to do a lot of things. So that's kind of what I have about these reservations. So let's go ahead and open it up to questions specific to Acadia. And while I'm waiting for that, I will start in on some of these pre-submitted questions. I have one from Anna. She says they have a 4th grader and they're going to Acadia in June. Does she need to make a reservation for general entrance to the park? And no. So if you have any kind of pass, so the 4th graders, they get a yearly pass, or for their year of 4th grade, they get in free, and they get in their whole family free to the national parks. So what she's referring to is that she already is going to have a pass. Does she need to pre-reserve or prepay the entrance fees for the park? And the answer is no. They are telling you that you can do it online. I personally would say just wait until you get to the park and pay at the entrance station. Make sure you bring a credit card. Most of them aren't taking cash, but then they'll get you squared away with the pass that you need, and that's separate from these Cadillac Mountain reservations. So to get into the park, you will pay, and that's normal that they do that, no matter what. You will pay to get into the park. But then if you want to go to Cadillac Mountain, you will need the reservation on top. So I hope that makes sense. We have a question from Matt. Do the slots open at midnight 3 months from the day you would like to reserve? So It's 10 a.m. Eastern, and it's not 3 months, it's 90 days. So it's going to be a little bit offset depending on the day. But what's nice about this is you can actually, get up on the website, go over to recreation.gov and search for these Cadillac Summit reservations, and they will tell you, when you click on which day you want, they will tell you when those tickets open. So it's actually really convenient. It's really nice. That's one of the only parks that will do that. And so as of right now, and so yeah, if you just go click, say you're going August 19th, you go click on that date on recreation.gov, it will actually tell you when those tickets open up. So, okay, and then I have a question from Janet. Are reservations required to enter the park, or are the reservations for camping? Okay, so no reservations required to enter the park. If you're wanting to camp, then yes, you will need to make a camping reservations, which is separate from the Cadillac Mountain Reservation. So simply put, if you want to go to Cadillac Mountain, if you want to drive up there, then you need an extra reservation, whether you have lodging, camping, dining, anything, any other reservations, you will need on top of the entrance fee and Cadillac Mountain. So yes, if you want to camp, you'll have to make a separate reservation for that. Okay, and one more question. Pam says that it says we need to purchase and display a park pass to enter the park. Can we just display the America the Beautiful pass? So what she's referring to again is this is an entrance pass. And so if you have like a senior pass or an America the Beautiful is for most of us who will buy a yearly pass to the park, that's what you'll get. If you have any of those passes, then you will just show those at the entrance station, and if they want you to display them, you can just put them up in your dash. Otherwise, you'll pay for a 7-day pass when you get there. And again, this is all separate from the extra reservation you need to go to Cadillac Mountain. So the entrance fees are just running as usual, as normal. So if you've been to a park before and you have, you go through the entrance station and you pay the fee, then that's what you'll do still. And no extra reservations needed at that point. So, okay, again, if there's any more questions about Acadia, please leave those now because I'm going to move on to the next park. Any questions that I'm seeing that are not related to any of these other parks that I'm talking about, I will go back through and answer those just online later. But we're moving park by park. So if there's no more questions for Acadia, then I'm going to move on to Glacier. And Glacier, oh my gosh, you guys just like pounded me with questions for this one. This is a really big pain point for a lot of people, all these new reservations needed in Glacier. So this is going to take a little while and get your questions ready because I know there are a lot of questions about what's happening in Glacier this year. So, okay, reservations that you need for Glacier National Park this year, 2021. What they are doing is they are requiring a reservation, an extra reservation, to drive the Going to the Sun Road. The Going to the Sun Road is the main road through Glacier. It has most of the trailheads, most of the overlooks. It's just a fantastic road. I mean, when you think about Glacier, it is the Going to the Sun Road. So that's a pretty big deal because if you're not able to get reservations for the Going to the Sun Road, you will be limited, severely limited in what you can do in the park. So that's why there's a lot of frustration and overwhelm regarding these new reservations. Plus, I think some of these parks are just making it way too complicated for the everyday traveler to navigate through all of the ins and outs of what's needed and what's not, and it can get really, really confusing. So let me just acknowledge that, because if you're feeling overwhelmed, I mean, I've been to Glacier, I don't know how many times. So when I read through these things, I'm going, okay, I know what they're talking about. But like even me, I have to go through and really study out what they're doing this year. And personally, I think that some of these parks are just making it way too complicated. So let's talk it through, okay? Okay, so the reservation is for the Going to the Sun Road. That includes what I think they're going to do, reading between the lines, what it looks like they're going to do is they're going to check for these extra reservations at the west entrance, the Camas Creek entrance, and the east entrance. So if you're coming in through West Glacier, hoping to get to Apgar, they will check for reservations at that entrance. If you're coming in from the east side, from St. Mary, and you want to get in that way, they will check for reservations. If you're coming, there's a really small back road entrance station called Camas Creek. That's the way that if you're driving from West Glacier up to Polebridge, if you're looking at a map, I highly recommend looking at a map while we talk this through. If you're going through Camas Creek entrance, it sounds like they're going to be checking for reservations there too. So basically that whole middle section of the park, any of those entrances, you'll need a reservation to get in and out of. So that's a really big deal. Let's talk about what if you don't need one of these reservations, okay? Because there are some exceptions to not needing these reservations. First, if you have overnight lodging reservations, here's the asterisk, along the Going to the Sun Road. They have to be in that area of the park. And so I have been getting a lot of questions from people saying, well, I have reservations over here. No, that doesn't count. It has to be along the Going to the Sun Road. So look at the map carefully. This is going to include, I'll name these off, Apgar Village, Lake McDonald, Rising Sun. Those are going to be the main big lodges that you can count this for. You've got the Granite Park or the Sperry Chalet. Those are backcountry chalets. You've got to hike miles and miles to get to those. You've got the Fish Creek Campground, which is down there by Apgar Village. That one is taking reservations right now. And so if you have a reservation there, it counts. None of the other campgrounds along the Going to the Sun Road have announced that they're taking reservations. So that's really the only campground in the park that is taking reservations that will count as your Going to the Sun Road pass, okay? And then if you have any backcountry permits, and the trailhead has to start along the Going to the Sun Road or in that area. So if it's a backcountry permit for something up in Many Glacier or something like that, it won't count, which is where I'm saying it just feels a little confusing, okay? But so look really, if you're going to Glacier, look really, really carefully at the map and just make sure that if you've booked lodging in the park, that it is in that corridor that is between the Camas Creek west and east entrances. Okay, if it's in there, then it counts. If it's not, it doesn't count. Additionally, if you have a tour reservation along the Going to the Sun Road, so again, it has to be in that area. That includes boat tours, horseback riding, they have the red bus tours, they do guided hikes. If you have any of those actual reservations that you have made, then that will get you in. However, it will only get you in for the day. So it's not going to cover the rest of the time that you'll be in the park. Unless you book a tour for every single day that you're there, then you will need an alternative. You will need one of these additional reservations. Okay, so and I got questions about that, like the boat tours. So the park runs 4 boat tours. Only 2 of those tours are in that area. So only 2 of those tours will count to get you into the Going to the Sun Road. So, and that's the Lake McDonald and the St. Mary. And if you're doing Two Medicine or Many Glacier, it doesn't count. So again, it feels complicated, but if you have any of those reservations along the Going to the Sun Road, then you are covered for that amount of time that you have that reservation. Okay, so let's move on here. The dates that these are in effect are May 28th through September 6th. May 28th through September 6th, so the main summer season. Also, it's the hours of 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we will talk about that. But May 28th through September 6th. So what you want to do, and if you have any questions, I have the Glacier site right up over here, nps.gov/GLAC. On that first page, you'll see the Going to the Sun Road ticketed entry. Click on that. It will give you more information. It will also give you the link to recreation.gov, where you will go to make your reservations. And they don't have that set up yet on recreation.gov, so I can't look at it and see kind of what they're doing, which is a shame because it's really hard to figure out, especially because they're opening up their reservations in what, 1 week? 9 days. 9 days, and it's not up on recreation.gov yet. So, okay, but that's what you'll do. And these open up April 29th. So put this on your calendar. April 29th at 6 a.m. Mountain Time. That is going to be critical because if you're not on there at 6 a.m., you're not getting a reservation. I guarantee these are just going to go so fast, and that's the problem with it. Luckily, each reservation is good for 7 days. So you'll just want to get it for the first day you'll be there, and then it will cover you for 7 days in and out the park. You can come and go as you please for those 7 days. So book it for the first day you'll be there. It's per vehicle, so you don't need one for every person in your party. And then, okay, so for on that April 29th opening, it looks like, and again, they don't have it up there yet, so I can't look at it specifically, but it seems like they're going to, because they're going to do these rolling, on a rolling basis. So it's a 60-day rolling basis. So on April 29th, I believe that they will open up everything 60 days from that date. So that will include pretty much, you know, the May dates and then into most of June. So if you're going in May or June, plan on the April 29th date. And then like April 30th, they'll open another round of tickets for the day that is 60 days beyond that. So if you're going in August, you know, then you'll be needing to make your reservation sometime in June to get that pass. And 6 a.m. It has to be 6 a.m. Mountain Time. If you're 1 minute late, they'll probably be gone. So that's a big deal. Okay, and when you get those, you'll want to print it off. They don't sell them in person. You have to get them online. So you really do need to be there for those openings. If you have an entrance pass, if you have a senior pass, if you have an the Beautiful pass, a 4th grade pass, any of those, if you already have those, it doesn't count to get you onto the Going to the Sun Road. So you'll still need it to get into the park. That will cover your entrance fees, but you have to have the additional reservation on top of that if you want to drive the Going to the Sun Road. So you'll need both. If you don't want to drive along the Going to the Sun Road or get into that area, then you don't need this extra reservation, but I don't know why you would do that. If you're going to Glacier, you want this reservation. So if you have additional questions on like the step-by-step of this process, I'm going to watch it. If they don't release it early enough, then I'm going to be there April 29th at 6 a.m. getting my reservation, even though I'm not going to Glacier, because I've got to figure out how this is working. So just know that I'm super on top of this. If you want like a step-by-step, then the Glacier itinerary, you'll get an updates page with that. And that page I update as things change. So it stays current exactly for the situation at hand. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, that's an option. because I can't walk through the whole process right now because they don't have it set up fully. So, okay. Now, if you can't get a reservation on the 60-day rolling basis, then they do have a fourth of the reservations that they will release 2 days in advance at 6 a.m. Okay, so that's like the final, like, Hail Mary. You couldn't get the reservation the first time, 2 days out before your trip starts, you try again. So that, I know it's really uncomfortable to think about that and to be frustrated with that. Totally makes sense. If you're going to be there for multiple days and you can't get, like, if you're not fast enough that first day that it opens up for the day that you want your reservation, try again the next day. They'll open up the next day, that next morning, and any reservation, even if it doesn't start exactly on your first day, is better than nothing. So be aware, you know, if you don't get it, say you're going June 29th and you can't get a reservation for June 29th, then try for June 30th, because then at least the second day of your trip you could get in on the Going to the Sun Road, and then there's some other ways around getting on there that first day. So, okay. Another thing is, if you're not able to get any of the reservations, consider doing a tour, a red bus tour, a horseback riding guided hike, any of those tours, a boat tour. But again, it has to be along the Going to the Sun Road or it won't get you in. So that's a way around it. If you want to watch for cancellations for lodging, I mean, the campground, Fish Creek, is, I'm sure, already completely booked up, and the lodges probably are too, but cancellations do happen. So if you want to watch that and maybe snatch something up, then that will help get you in without needing one of these extra reservations. You can hike or bike along the road, so that's an option. And it's looking like, and I can't verify this completely, but it's looking like you can also enter the park before 6 a.m. or after 5 p.m. So that's an option too, possibly. Some of the parks are saying, no, you can't do that. This one hasn't said either way, so I wouldn't plan on it. But if there are no other options, then there's maybe a way around it. The other thing is, if you absolutely can't get any of these Going to the Sun Road entrance, ticketed entry reservations, then there are other parts of the park you can go to. So we've got Many Glacier, Two Medicine, you've got Pole Bridge. All of those areas are going to be slammed. I mean, they're small, there's hardly any parking. They're pushing people who can't get reservations out to these fringe areas that I think are just going to be so busy. So it's not ideal, but it's possible. So, okay, that's what I have to say. Now I'm ready to take questions. So I know a lot of you had a lot of questions as I was talking, but if you have a question, go ahead and submit it. I will start here. Christian says, a reservation for a boat tour suffices for entrance into the park. So again, that's only Lake McDonald or St. Mary will work as that, because those are the only two lakes along the Going to the Sun Road that they run the boat tours on. So keep that in mind. Okay, we have a question. Donna, we have a reservation at Lake McDonald for 3 days and then Mini Glacier for 5 days. We have a boat tour while at Mini Glacier. Yeah. Okay, so the days that you're in Mini Glacier, it won't count to get you on there. And if you have a boat tour at Mini Glacier, it won't count. So you will need the reservation for the time that you are staying at Mini Glacier. Yes. Can you release a list of all the tours that would include the reservation to get you in? That's on the NPS site. They're not super specific, but they do have a list there. Can we pull a 6x10 trailer on the road? You can't be above 20 feet. So, and you don't want to be. That road is really narrow and it can be kind of scary. So okay. Can you clarify 6 a.m. mountain ticket for April 29th as well as the 2 days ticket release? Okay, so yes, so April 29th at 6 a.m. they will release tickets for 60 days from that date, from April 29th is what it's looking like. Again, I can't see it because they don't have it up, but it should be 60 days from April 29th. So you're talking May and June dates. And then the 2 days in advance is just on a rolling basis. So if you're going June 5th, you can get on there on June 3rd at 6 a.m. and get try again. So let's see. Guests for Glacier just need to get anywhere at 6 a.m. or earlier. And I can't verify that because Yosemite, for example, is saying, no, you can't do that. Glacier hasn't said one way or the other. Last year in some parks, you were able to do that. So since they haven't said no, I'm assuming you can, but I don't know for sure. So I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have that be your plan. Okay, Angie, are the reservations timed or is it just a day pass? So for Glacier, it's a 7-day pass, not timed. You just choose the day you want to enter. Jamie, do you think it's best to just avoid Mini Glacier in late July? Okay, here's the thing. They are also doing construction at Mini Glacier, so they're already saying there's going to be 45-minute delays. But is Mini Glacier worth it? Yeah, it is. It's phenomenal. So if I would just try to get there as early in the day as you can, and just come with the expectation that it's going to be busy, but they're going to have to limit it because there's not enough parking back there. So that's part of it too, is, you know, if you get there later in the day, they may just make you wait until there's availability. I don't think they'll let people just drive back in there as it gets busier because you're going to be severely limited by the parking situation. So, Lauren, getting in the park earlier than 6 a.m., you wouldn't need a reservation. I don't know. It's one hypothesis that I have, but I can't verify. So, maybe an option. I read that once you purchase a reservation for a specific day, you are secured for 7 days after. Yes. Yep. From that very first day, you get 7 days. Glacier, what were the 2 lakes for boat tours along the Going to the Sun? It's Lake McDonald or St. Mary. Mini Glacier or Two Medicine are not along that area. They're in the outlying areas, so it won't count. Brian, since the pass lasts for 7 days, can you make your reservation 63 days in advance, knowing you won't be there for the first 3 days of your pass? Yes. As far as I can tell, they're not saying that you have to enter on that very first day. It says that for those 7 days, you can go in and out. And so it looks like if you won't be there the full 7 days, you could try earlier and get a pass to cover whatever portion of your vacation you want. Again, that's what I can read between the lines on is what I think they are saying, because they're not saying, for example, like Yosemite last year said that you had to be there, or you had to be there that very first day of your reservation or else it didn't count, you know. And they explicitly said that. And so Glacier has not said either way. They haven't said, and so I don't think they'll care. I think they'll see the dates that it's valid, and then if you're visiting within those dates, then they'll let you through, is my my guess on that. So if you do an allowed tour, can you stay in all day or just the time of the tour? It looks like all day. But if you leave the park and have to come back in, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're like keeping track of that. I don't think they are, but it should get you in all day. I have a few more questions here as well. Let's see. Okay, you guys had questions about the shuttle running. So Glacier does have a shuttle. They have not said if they're going to run it this year or not. But here's my word of caution about relying on the shuttle. Because the road is so narrow and windy and curvy, their shuttles are quite small. They can't fit very many people. So if they do decide to run the shuttles, they'll probably be running them at a limited capacity because of COVID anyway, which means, I mean, seriously, if they're limiting it, it probably is like 10 people per shuttle. I mean, because the shuttles can only hold like 20 people, 25 people. So I have seen the shuttle lines. in that park just on a normal year, I mean, sometimes you're waiting 2 hours just to get on a shuttle because the shuttles are small and they can't take that many people. So I did get a lot of questions about that. I don't know. They're still saying that they're trying to decide if they're going to run it or not, but I wouldn't count on using it that much because if they're limiting it at all, it's going to take a long time. Let's see, other questions. Oh, if you're going later in September, so these reservations go until September 6th. So starting September 7th, you shouldn't need any of these reservations. So I do think it will still be busy. I got a lot of questions like after they stopped doing the going to the sun reservations. I imagine it will still be quite busy through September. So you'll still need to have that planned out and know what's where you want to be and you know, getting to the places you need to get to at a good time to avoid the crowds, because it's still, I would imagine, going to be quite busy. Let's see. We had a question here. Yeah. Okay, so Jamie says, it must be validated on the first day the reservation is scheduled to begin. That's interesting. Jamie, I would love to see the where you saw that, because I was looking for it as I was researching all of this and I could not find where it said that. So thank you. Yes. Okay, so you do have to go in on the first day that you have reserved. Let's see. Lori, will the pass be good for all Glacier entrances? So you'll still have to pay an entrance fee regardless of the entrance you go into. So the pass you'll only need for the West, East, or Camas Creek, but you will still need an entrance fee or an annual pass. So Lauren, is it 2 per car or 2 per person, the reservations? You only need 1 per car. It's not per person. So, okay. That's all the questions there. Anything else that you can think of? I have some questions like if you're going to stay for 10 to 14 days and do you need to have like an actual date specified, then yes. And you can get, it looks like you can get multiple reservations. I don't think they can overlap though if you're doing it on the same user. On recreation.gov on the same account. So, but you can, it does say like if you're going to be there for more than 7 days, then you need 2 passes. So it does say that. Let's see. Okay, I'm getting conflicting things. Clifton says FAQ on the NPS site says you don't need to validate on the first day. That's kind of what I was seeing. This is just an example. There are a few things that on the NPS site it says something, and on recreation.gov it says something else. When you're looking at the parks, you might see 2 different times the reservation will open up. It's incredibly frustrating. So I think hopefully they'll show a little bit of leniency if you make your reservation but you make it for the wrong day or something happens. But it can be very confusing. So thank you guys for looking that up. I would say try to get it for the first day you're going to be there, just to be safe. And if you're wondering if you need the reservation, you're unsure if you actually need the reservation to drive the Going to the Sun Road, then I would say go for it. Try to get one because it's better to have one and show up and have it, even if you book a tour or you do something else. I would feel a lot more comfortable having just, the normal reservation if there's any questions. So, okay. Yes, you need the entrance fee plus the Going to the Sun Road reservation. Jennifer, the lines can be super long to get in before 6 a.m. Yeah, so that's what happened at Zion National Park. When they started doing the reservations, people were getting in line at like 2 a.m. so that they could get up in there. So yeah, the before 6 a.m. here's the thing too, once they start checking them at 6 a.m., you're going to want to be there anyway, because all the parking lots are going to start to fill. So it's very crazy. So here we go. Any more questions for Glacier? I think I covered everything. I'm looking through all these. Again, if you are staying along the going to the sun road, then it counts. If you are not, then it doesn't count. So if you have a senior pass, you still need a going to the sun road reservation. If you have an annual pass, you still need a going to the sun road reservation. So that is how it works. If you have any more questions, leave them below. I can go back through and answer those, but it's a lot of information. So, okay, moving off Glacier. That one's a big one. That one's a doozy. Here we go. We are going to move on to Rocky Mountain, the reservations needed for Rocky Mountain National Park this year. Okay, this one, as bad as Glacier was, this one is very stressful for me personally, because there is a lot of inconsistencies, and they are saying one thing but not giving enough information. So like if you go to their website, there's only a small portion of the website even talks about this. The link they have on the website doesn't even go to the right place on recreation.gov. Like I can't even get on recreation.gov and look at what they're doing and what they're setting up yet. So this Rocky Mountain, if you are doing Rocky Mountain, I tell you what, I am right there with you. I'm going to just be on there trying to get a reservation that first day too, because I am having a hard time telling exactly what they are going to do this year. So Rocky was the first park last year really to institute a entrance reservation. So they did it last year, they're doing it this year, but it's different this year. Much more complicated this year. So this reservation at Rocky Mountain National Park, you have to go anywhere in the park. If you want to go to Rocky Mountain National Park, you have to have an additional reservation. Simple as that. Even all the outlying areas, even the small entrances, any of those, you have to have a reservation, an extra reservation. So this is a big deal. If you can't get this, then you don't go into Rocky Mountain National Park this year. So that's a part of the reason why it feels really stressful for me, because I know that you guys put a lot of time and effort and energy and money into these trips, and then, you know, here's these reservations that are thrown in amongst it. So, okay, so you do not need one of these entry permit reservations for Rocky Mountain if you have a reservation for an in-park campground. Okay, that's the only exception to this. If you have a reservation for an in-park campground, you just have to show proof that you booked your campsite, and it will get you in for those dates. However, I don't know how they're going to make that work as far as like when you can enter with it, if they're going to stick to like campground check-in times, which are noon. I don't think so. I think that if you have a reservation for a campground, then you can just go to all the same places in the park that everybody else can, and you can enter that day of your reservation start. So that's my guess, but that is the only exception. There are no in-park lodges in Rocky Mountain, so that's what you'll want to do. They haven't said like if you book a tour in the park or anything that will be valid, so they haven't said that, so I wouldn't count on it, because that's not anything that they have put on their website. So, okay. The dates that these are needed is May 28th to October 11th is what it says on their website. The 12th is what it says on recreation.gov. So October, mid-October. And this is what I'm saying. Like, it makes it very hard for people to plan. October 11th, we'll say, but maybe the 12th. Okay. If you're going to go to the park during those months. So you'll go on recreation.gov, you'll make an account, and then the reservations open May 1st at 8 a.m. Mountain Time for dates through June 30th. Okay, and then they're doing June 1st for all the July dates and July 1st for all the August dates. So it's like a whole month in advance. You know, the beginning of the month, it opens for the next month for the entire month. So it's kind of, they have actual set dates that these permits will open up. It's not a rolling basis. They will open up the permit for the entire month when they do, which does cause a problem because these are only 1-day permits. They're not like Glacier where you have like a 7-day. It's for 1 day. And so if you get on there and you're trying to get a permit to go into the park and it's only for 1 day, then, you know, there's a good chance that some of the other days that you need will get snatched up before you're able to add those to your cart. When they do it this way, I just want to rip my hair out because it is so hard to get these permits in the first place. And so as you're reserving one, there's a good chance that the other ones will get snatched out from under you. So I don't know why they do it that way. It's just incredibly frustrating to me. Please, Rocky Mountain, don't do 1-day permits and release them all in a big clump. You got to release them on a day-by-day basis if you're doing 1-day permits, my personal opinion. Okay, so yes, you will need one reservation for each day you're there. You'll have to pick a specific entrance time. So they have them split up into time segments too, and you can go into the park during that time, and you need to show up during that time in order for your reservation to be valid. So now here's the kicker. As if that's not complicated enough, they're saying they're doing 2 different types of reservations this year. They are going to do one reservation that gets you into the whole park, including Bear Lake. So Bear Lake is the busiest part of the park. They always have major parking problems in that area. So they have a reservation that includes Bear Lake, and then they have a reservation that includes the whole park minus Bear Lake. So if you want to go to Bear Lake, you need to get a reservation that includes Bear Lake. And if you're just going like the Trail Ridge Road or other parts of the park and not Bear Lake, then you need this other reservation for those days. And so here's the way around it a little bit. So for Bear Lake, those ones are from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. And they were having problems with people going before 5 a.m. and taking all the parking spots. So I don't know what they're doing this year. If they're going to let people in before 5 a.m., I'm not sure. But 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the Bear Lake reservation. And that one is the one that you will absolutely want if you want to go to Bear Lake and if you want to hike up in that area. So I say go for that one first, because the other reservation, the whole park minus Bear Lake, is only from the hours of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you enter the park before 9 a.m. and you're not going to Bear Lake, you should be okay without a reservation, is what it sounds like. So there's some good ways around that one. So I say go for the Bear Lake one first. That's going to be the hardest one to get. And then if there's other reservations available for the other days that you don't want to go to Bear Lake, then try to get those ones. But there are ways to work around not getting those. So go for your Bear Lake one first. That's my advice. Now, your entrance, as with the other parks, your entrance pass does not get you in. You will need a separate entrance fee paid per vehicle. So you will need to pay to enter the park that is separate from needing a reservation to enter the park. So just keep that in mind if you already have a pass. And now, to complicate it even further, when you go on recreation.gov, it asks you what kind of pass you have. If you have an annual pass, then you can put that in, and then they won't charge you the $25 daily rate to get into the park. They'll just charge you for the reservation. But if you say that you don't have any of those passes, then they charge you $25 per day plus the and that's the entrance fee, plus the $2 for your reservation fee. Why they are doing this, I do not know. I am so frustrated with this because if you are trying to get multiple days and you're paying $25 each day, that's going to cost more money than it is to just buy an annual pass or buy a 7-day pass, because a 7-day pass is $35 and a 1-day pass is $25. And they're lumping that all into their reservations on recreation.gov. And I don't know why they're doing that. That makes it so incredibly complicated. So I say, even if you don't have a pass, choose the option that says that you are going to buy a pass when you get there if you're staying for multiple days. Because otherwise you'll pay $25 a day with your reservation just to get in the park, and that's way more expensive than just buying your entrance pass when you get to the entrance station. So that's my 2 cents. My first job with the Park Service was in an entrance station, and so I kind of know some of the back end stuff and kind of how it works. And I just every time I look at this, why are they doing it this way? Why, Rocky? Why? Why did you change it? It's so complicated. Okay, so if you can't get the reservation, they have additional releases for these reservations 2 days in advance. This is on a rolling basis. So if you're going June 3rd, June 1st, they will open up some more time slots. So that one may give you a better opportunity to get in there and get the daily reservation that you need rather than striking out when they do the big lump of reservations. The National Park site says 5 p.m. for those rolling 2 days in advance tickets. Recreation.gov says 8 a.m. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure what time. I would go by what it says on the NPS site probably, and they'll probably update recreation.gov to fit it better or to match. But again, it's very, very confusing. So, and with this park, it's looking like you can enter before or after the reservation times for that specific permit, the timed entry permit. So again, if you're wanting to go to the whole park minus Bear Lake, they're only checking reservations from 9 to 3. So if you get there before 9 or after 3, you're probably good. So those are kind of the ways around it. If you're needing more help with this, I do have a Rocky Mountain itinerary. I do have an updates page for that itinerary that will be updated as they give me more information and as I'm able to look at it better. So that's an option if you want a little bit of extra help with that. I will kind of map it out step by step, especially once they release the first ones and I can get on there and look at it better. Then I will make sure that's updated for a step-by-step process for getting these and which reservations you'll need which day of the itinerary. So that will all be updated. If you already have the Rocky itinerary and you do not have a link to that updates page, please contact me ASAP and I will make sure you get that. So, okay, let's answer some questions about this. If you have any Rocky Mountain questions, please leave them below and we will talk about those. The first one I have is Denise says, what is the best reservation to get since there are 2 available? So again, I would go for the Bear Lake reservation first. Those will be a lot harder to get and a lot more competitive. But if you're wanting to see Bear Lake, that's the only option really. So go for those ones first. And then if you can get the other ones, then great. Okay. Heather, I just purchased the Rocky Mountain Guide from you. Do you email us updates? So you should have received an email from me with that itinerary that has a link to the updates. So contact me if you did not receive that. Let's see. Carrie, I tried getting a campsite in Rocky Mountain months ago for our dates. Wish there would have been availability. Yeah, I mean, if you can stay in the park, it simplifies things so much. So that's the takeaway from all of this is if you can get a reservation in the park, get a reservation in the park. Okay, Tristan, should I try to get multiple Bear Lake passes just to get into the park at an earlier time, or should I try for the under entrance reservation, and how does that affect the itinerary? No, just get the Bear Lake for the day you need to go to Bear Lake. The other ones, the passes that don't include Bear Lake, you can try to get for the other days, but we can work around that. If you have an itinerary and you have not seen how it affects the itinerary, Tristan, I recognize you. I have talked to you. It won't affect much of the itinerary. I can work around those hours for the days that don't include Bear Lake. We can work around that pretty easily, and I will be posting that to the updates page. Thelma, we are traveling with 2 vehicles. Can we make reservations for both at the same time? So no, you'll probably need two accounts on recreation.gov and 2 people making those reservations. And that's good practice anyway. Like if you and your significant other are both going and can make accounts on recreation.gov, then you should both try for reservations at the same time and see who gets it. If you're traveling with 2 vehicles, then whoever the reservation's name is under has to be in that vehicle. So if you're going with friends or other family members or anything, then they will each need to get their own reservation for the vehicle they'll be in, because they'll check to see that the reservation holder is in that vehicle. So Carrie, we weren't going to buy our pass until we hit our first park in July. It's fine. The entrance passes are fine. You can get those at the park. I don't know why they're trying to lump them into the reservations, because they're separate. So that's just really frustrating to me, because any of your entrance fees you can pay at the park. Again, bring a credit card. They're not taking cash. Emily, should we buy the entrance pass now? I mean, they're kind of pushing you in that direction. Like they want you to pre-buy, but I wouldn't. If it was me, I would wait till I got there. There's no reason in my mind to pre-buy it and then, have it. It still won't factor into your reservation process because they don't even have an option for just a regular entrance pass. So again, Rocky Mountain is just like so confusing this year. Okay, let's see. On the day I'm not going to Bear Lake, I want to enter before 9 a.m. Do I need a reservation? No. So that's what it's looking like. You can go in before 9 a.m. if you're not going to Bear Lake, which is why the itinerary will be fine. If you have one of my itineraries, I can help you work around that pretty easily. Julie, how do they police where you go once you're in the park? Checking Bear Lake reservations at Bear Lake. They have a kiosk at the entrance of the Bear Lake Road that they staff. So they will definitely be checking. Any of the entrance fees, they will be checking. So, but they do have a specific kiosk for Bear Lake. So, okay. Will the reservation link be obvious on recreation.gov once it goes live? Can't find it right now. I know, Steve. Okay, so they did have it on there and then they took it off, and it should be pretty obvious. I'm trying to remember what it said because I did get on there and look at it, but it said Rocky Mountain timed entry permit or something. So it was very obvious, but I don't know why it's not on there, why they took it off. So again, so frustrating. But as soon as I can see it again and as soon as I can get in there and look at it better, I will update the page for the itinerary. So if you have an itinerary, then I will have that on there. So Emily, their website is going to crash. I think so. So, okay, let's move off Rocky Mountain. That one it just makes my blood boil a little bit. So for those of you going to Rocky Mountain, if you have a Rocky Mountain itinerary from me, please make sure you have that updates page link. If you don't, message me because I definitely will help you through this. And I will be updating that as soon as I have anything. So, okay. Okay, we're moving to Yosemite now. And thank you for your time. I know I'm running a little over because it's just complicated. So let's go to Yosemite reservations for 2021. these reservations are vital. If you want to visit Yosemite this year, you have to have one. They are checking at all entrances. It's for the whole park except for Hetch Hetchy. So you have one place you can go in the park if you are not able to get a reservation in Yosemite this year. So, and Hetch Hetchy is quite small. There's not a whole bunch to do there. So if you want to enter Yosemite National Park, you need to have an extra reservation for Yosemite. So let's talk about this. Here are the exceptions, okay? You don't need an extra Yosemite entrance reservation if you have any of the in-park lodging booked. So if you are staying in any lodge or any campground within the national park, that counts as your entrance, and you can get in for the days that you have booked in the park, in those lodging options. So that's any of the campgrounds, any of the lodges. There's not any parts that are excluded from that. So here's another interesting thing. So Yosemite has some private lodging within the national park. So it's not run by the National Park Service. It's not like the Ahwahnee or the Yosemite Valley Lodge or Wawona or anything like that. It's separate. So they have private lodging, mostly like smaller cabins in the park in Wawona, Foresta, or Yosemite West. And those, if you have reservations there, those will get you in. So that is a good option that a lot of people actually don't know about. If you go to the Yosemite site and you go click on, it says park entry requires reservations. You click on that, you go to that page, then it will list off the places that you can stay where you don't need a reservation. And they have a line there with a link that says Wawona, Yosemite West, Foresta. Click on that and it will take you to the booking page for those private cabins. If you're going to book those, I suggest starting with the Yosemite West cabins, because those are in a really great location, more central to the popular areas of the park. So you're just outside of Yosemite Valley. It's like the junction from the road coming out of Yosemite Valley and the road to Glacier Point. So it's actually a really good location. So that's a good option. If you have a backpacking permit or wilderness permit, then that will get you in for the dates of your permit. If you have a Half Dome permit to hike Half Dome, that also will get you in. So those are some options. Another option is the Yarts bus is what it's called. That's a bus that takes you from outside of the park and it drops you off inside of the park. And they are running that. They are taking reservations for that. And you don't need an entrance reservation to take that bus. So, or a tour group. And they have a list of authorized tour groups on their website as well. So if you are staying in any of those places or you have any of those backpacking permits, then you do not need one of these day use reservations to get into Yosemite. So let's talk about these day use reservations. So these are good you're going to need one from May 21st until September 30th. So most of the summer, you'll go on recreation.gov, make an account, and you'll book your day use reservations there. It's pretty straightforward. Actually, Yosemite did require reservations last year, and they didn't change it that much from last year. The one thing they did that is a little bit disappointing for me is that they changed it so that it's not a 7-day permit anymore. It's a 3-day permit. So if you are staying in the park longer, or if you're visiting the park for longer than 3 days, then you will need 2 day use permits. You will need 2 of these reservations. So that is a disappointment because I suggest 4 days in Yosemite to see it all. And so I'll be in Yosemite this year. We're staying for longer than 3 days. But I jumped on, I saw some lodging in the park that was available for our dates, and I paid an exorbitant amount of money above what I normally would like to pay, just so that I wouldn't have to deal with the reservation stuff. So that is an option. Okay, so the schedule here, they're going to release similar to Rocky Mountain, where they'll release everything for a whole month on one day. So April 21st, which is tomorrow, which is why I tried to get this in before that. April 21st, tomorrow at 8 a.m., this is Pacific time, California time, they are opening up dates for May and June. So if you're going in May and June, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Pacific time, these reservations are going to go like that. Yosemite is so hard to get reservations in, even for the campgrounds, anything like that. They're gone. They're gone if you don't hit that add to cart button within about 2 seconds of them opening up. So you have to be on there earlier than 8 a.m. ready to go. April 28th is when they will release the dates for July. May 5th is August. May 12th is for September. Okay. And then starting May 14th is when they will start releasing some of the reservations that they held back. So, and those will be on a 7 days in advance on a rolling basis. So on May 14th, they'll release May 21st tickets. And then May 15th, they'll do May 22nd. So you have a couple of different options, but all of this takes place within the next 4 weeks, basically. So if you're going to Yosemite at all this year, just know that your reservations are going to open up within the next 4 or 5 weeks. These are good for 3 consecutive days, as I said, from the hours of 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. So these are only day use. You can't stay in the park past 11 p.m. They will ask you to leave. If you enter before 5 a.m., they're saying that you actually have to self-certify that you have a reservation if you're going in before 5 a.m. And they said that there is a possible fine of $5,000. So if you don't have the reservation and you go in the park. So that's going in early. I'm thinking it doesn't even look like an option with this new change that they've made. So these reservations are 1 per vehicle. You can hike or bike in and you don't need them, but it's per vehicle or motorcycle. You'll print it off, you'll show it at the entrance station. This is separate from your entrance pass, so you still need to pay to get into the park at the entrance station, and then you'll also show them this reservation. So that's kind of how it works. Again, if you have a Yosemite itinerary, I have the step-by-step process for getting these reservations. I also have, they're not running the shuttle in Yosemite Valley, so I also have what you'll need to do, where to park, when to move your car, how to get to all the different places. I have all of that outlined out, so that's there if you need some extra help with this. If you don't have a link to that updates page, then again, please contact me as soon as possible and I will send that to you if you have an itinerary. So, okay, let's talk about, okay, if you can't get the reservation you need, again, 7 days in advance on a rolling basis, they will release some more day use permits. That's 8 a.m. Pacific time. You can book entrance to the park with the Yarts bus. That's a good option if you're coming in from outside of the park. All those communities outside of the park have a Yarts bus that will bring you into the park. So, and you don't need a reservation for that. So that's a good option. But you do need a reservation for the bus. You just don't need the day use reservation for Yosemite. So again, if you want to take the bus, you will want to book your spot on that bus. If you have in-park lodging or camping, definitely that counts. So, and then the other thing is to check for cancellations because they are updating them in real time. So if someone cancels their permit or their lodging or their campground or anything like that, if they're canceling it, then it's going to show up right away and you may be able to snag something even last minute. So definitely be looking for those. So, okay. That's a lot of information. This one, Yosemite has done a good job with their reservations. It's a pretty good system. So I'm not as frustrated with this. The only thing is if you're going to be there for longer than 3 days, you'll need 2 separate permits because they're only good for 3 days. So let's go ahead and answer some questions here. Let's see. Do you know if the name of the person who has made a reservation has to be in the car for Yosemite? Yes. Yep, they're checking IDs with the reservations. So let's see. Okay. Kate, so May 5th at 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific if we want August passes for Yosemite. So yes, it is May 5th for August passes. Kate, should we just book campsites that we're not going to use? I mean, you can. Good luck, because those campsites are so hard to get. So all of it is very hard to get. I mean, it's not the most honest way to go about it, so I would try it the other way first, but you know, I'll leave that up to you. Okay, Liz, passes are good for how many days? 3 consecutive days, and they are consecutive. You don't have to show up that first day, but your time starts ticking that first day that you have the pass. So that is something to keep in mind. For Yosemite, I know for sure they said that they won't make you enter on that very first day, but your time starts ticking that first day. So if you're only going to be there for 1 day, you have a few different day options that you could get just to show up that 1 day. But if you'll be there for multiple days, you'll pretty much just want to get it for the day that you'll be there. Let's see. Okay, can I try for 2 3-day passes? Yeah, I mean, and that's what's going to be hard, is I think they're going to get snatched. So if you're going to be there for more than 3 days, I think it's going to be really hard to get that second pass for the remaining days. So I would definitely consider saving like some of your Yosemite Valley activities for maybe that 4th day that you're there, and then taking a Yachts bus in instead of driving your own car. Something like that might work. I think it's going to be really, really hard to get 2 of the 3-day passes. What site do I use to try for private lodging in Yosemite West? I've seen them on Airbnb, but on the Yosemite website, nps.gov/YOSE, then they do have a link to those. So I would go that way. Which locations in the park should we reserve the Yachts for? They drop off in specific locations. It just depends on where you want to go. If you don't have a car, if you're taking the bus and you don't have a car, then I would go to the valley, because there's a lot more to do in the valley without a car. Ron, is Summerdale Campground in the National Forest considered in the park? It's not. It's got to be one of the, like, there's Upper Pines, Lower Pines, Camp 4. They have Tuolumne Meadows, Wawona. I don't know if they're not opening all their campsites this year, so I don't know if they're opening like Crane Flat or Hodgton Meadow, any of those. But yeah, it actually has to be in the Yosemite boundaries. So, Kata, can you repeat those release dates again? They are on the NPS website, nps.gov/YOSE. Click on the park entry requires reservations, and it will tell you all of those. And then you can make sure that your dates fit within where they are. So, okay. Lisa, would it help if my husband and daughter both sign up for a recreation.gov account and try simultaneously? Yeah, I would. I would do multiples. Okay. So any more Yosemite questions? Let's see. We've got a lot of people had questions about like their specific reservations for lodging and if it counts. And yes, if it's in the park, it counts. So that's like Curry Village, Wawona Hotel, Yosemite Valley Lodge, the Ahwahnee, let's see, Upper Pines, all those questions, yes, those will count. Let's see, and then I did have a question about if the Yosemite Shuttle will be operating this season. So this is the Yosemite Shuttle in Yosemite Valley, and that's no. they're not going to be operating those this year. And so if you have an itinerary from me, I have it all outlined on how to navigate that, where to park, which trailheads to walk to, which trailheads to move your car to, stuff like that. I have all that. So if you have an itinerary from me, but don't have a link to that updates page, please contact me as soon as possible. Okay, let's move on. Thank you everybody for being here and sticking with me. We have one last park, and this is Zion. These are the Zion reservations for 2020. And there has been a little bit of confusion, and I apologize on my part. I did not mean to freak people out that reservations were needed. I am referring to just the shuttle, but it's very surprising how many people don't even know that they need shuttle reservations. So I definitely wanted to bring that up and include Zion in this, because if you don't have a shuttle reservation, you are limited into what you can do. So let's talk about it. But if you've been hanging around to see if there was any additional reservations needed for Zion above and beyond the shuttle, then no, it's just the shuttle, as far as, as of now. I don't think that will change. I think it will stay just the shuttle. So, okay. So, what these reservations needed in Zion is for shuttle tickets for the Zion Canyon Scenic Drive shuttle. This is a shuttle that the park runs. They run it starts at the visitor center, and they run it up into the Zion Canyon Scenic Drive, which is a short drive. And that shuttle has been running for years and years and years. So that shuttle is a staple in Zion. A lot of people have used that shuttle. It's not a new thing, but what is new is that now they are requiring reservations to ride that shuttle. And so if you don't need one of these reservations if you don't want to ride the shuttle into the Zion Canyon Scenic Drive. So that is basically the black and white of it. And the Zion Canyon portion of the park, though, although it's small, that's where you're going to find the Angel's Landing Trailhead, the Narrows Trailhead, Emerald Pools. That's where the Zion Lodge is. That's where Hidden Canyon, Observation Point, which those ones are closed, but that's where their trailheads are. And so the Zion Canyon area actually contains most of the major trails in Zion National Park. So that's why it's such a big deal, because if you don't ride the shuttle, or if you don't make alternative plans to get up in there, then you will be limited and you won't be able to get to some of the most popular and most beautiful parts of the park. So it is a big deal. And unfortunately, people are still showing up at the park not knowing they need these shuttle reservations. So that's why I wanted to talk about that today. The dates that you need these for it's a year-round thing. The shuttle, they stop running it kind of like for a couple weeks in December, but they run it over Thanksgiving, then they stop for a little bit, then they run it over Christmas and New Year's, and then they stop for a little bit, and then they start running it again as spring comes. So it mostly is a year-round thing. There's only a few weeks here and there where they're not running the shuttle, and when the shuttle is running, you cannot drive your own car. So that's not an option. Getting up there in your own car is not an option during the main parts of the year, or the busiest parts of the year. So, okay. So how they're doing this, again, you'll need to go to recreation.gov and make your account in advance. What they're doing is they're releasing these tickets twice a month. So they're releasing them on the 16th of the month and the last day of the month, either the 30th or the 31st. So typically you're looking at 2 to 3, maybe even 4 weeks in advance, depending on when you're going to the park. And they have this schedule up for you on the Zion website. So if you go to nps.gov/Zion, you'll notice you actually have to scroll down quite a ways. And you'll see a little button for shuttle information. And so that's where they'll have the schedule. And they keep updating that as the dates get closer. Then it will update for dates further in the future. So I'm not gonna like tell you when to book the shuttle, because they have specific dates and they break them up. They break the month up in weekly increments. And anyway, so just go on the website and look at it and find your dates and see exactly which date you need to reserve your tickets. So, but typically it's 2 to 3 weeks in advance. It's at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, so Salt Lake City time. And then they also release them at 5 p.m. the day before. So again, that's very last minute. If you're going June 4th, then June 3rd at 5 p.m., they will open up some new reservations. So that is an option. Again, these reservations are just getting snatched like that. And so they're going really fast. These are a little bit different, where it's not a per vehicle reservation. It's a per person reservation. So if you have 5 people in your group, you're going to need 5 tickets, and you choose a specific day, you choose a specific time. And so it's very specific when you can show up with how many people on what day. If you have a group bigger than 8, then you will need 2 different people making these reservations, because you can only book 8 tickets per person, so per day. Okay, so how it works is once you get your reservation, you print it off and you take it to the visitor center, the Zion Visitor Center, and then they will check your reservation, and that's where you'll board the shuttle. So if you have a lodge reservation, Zion Lodge, you still need a shuttle reservation. So that's been a common question. If you're staying at the Zion Lodge, you still have to have a shuttle pass. You'll just board from the Zion Lodge. And then if you're up in Zion Canyon, like say you walked up or biked up or something, if you're up in there, you will need a reservation to get on any shuttle. So they will be checking. They're checking every stop pretty much. They have rangers at every shuttle stop checking to make sure you have these reservations. So there's really no way around it. If you don't get the reservation, then you don't ride the shuttle. Okay, and again, I have a step-by-step outline of these shuttle tickets and how to get them and how to make them work, and which stops in the park you'll need, and which trailheads you'll need, and which which places in the park you'll need these shuttle reservations for. Those are all on the itinerary on Dirt in My Shoes if you want some extra help with that. So, okay. Now, if you can't get shuttle tickets, again, you have the last minute ones the day before, 5 p.m. The day before, they will open up some new ones. The second thing you can do that people are doing is they're either booking like a private shuttle to take them up into the park and drop them off at a trailhead. So a lot of people are booking private shuttles for Angel's Landing or the Narrows. Or you can rent an e-bike or something along those lines, and you can bike up into that area. I don't recommend walking. The Park Service doesn't recommend walking. It can get really, really hot. It's actually quite far to walk from each spot to the next. And so that's really not a realistic option. So either like a private shuttle or an e-bike will work pretty well. They also are doing walk-up tickets in the afternoon. So either at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, you can go to the visitor center and they can likely fit you on to a shuttle without advance reservations. So that is another option. It doesn't give you the whole day up in that area, but at least it's something. So definitely keep that in mind. The other thing is there's actually still quite a bit of Zion National Park that you can see without needing a shuttle reservation. So that whole highway from Springdale to Mount Carmel, it's called Highway 9. That whole highway you can drive in your own car. You don't need a reservation or anything for that. Also, there's the Kolob Terrace Road, which is about 15 minutes outside of Springdale, that takes you to a lesser known section of the park. That's an option. So you can still do things in Zion. It just won't be quite as, you won't hit like the most popular spots. So that's an option as well. Okay, oh, and also there's a couple of good trails around the visitor center. You've got the Watchman Trail or the Paus Trail, which you can get to without needing a reservation. So you'll just need to find parking at the visitor center, or you'll need to take, this can be confusing. There's a separate shuttle that just runs in the town of Springdale. So it will pick you up from like your lodge in Springdale and take you to the park entrance. That one doesn't require a reservation, but anyway, so you can do, you can park in Springdale, take the Springdale shuttle to Zion, to the visitor center, and then from there, there's a few things you can do right there if you don't have a ticket to get onto the Zion Canyon shuttle at the visitor center. So I hope that makes sense. There's just a couple different options there. But there are still things you can do without the shuttle reservation. It's just you won't hit like the really big hitters, you know, the must-dos for Zion National Park. So, okay, let's talk questions about the Zion shuttle, and let me get those answered for you. So if you have any questions, let's see, Julia, are shuttle reservations being released all at once or day by day? So both. If you want them further in advance, then they're all at once. And if it's the night before, then it's a day by day. Lauren, so you can still drive into Zion though, right? Yes, you can still drive into Zion, but you cannot drive into Zion Canyon, which is a section of the park. And if you're looking at a map, that is, it's from Canyon, it's called Canyon Junction, and it's the whole road north. So Canyon Junction north is where you cannot drive your own car. So yeah, let's see. But you can still enter the park. You're right. The park entrance does not require a reservation, just the shuttle in Zion Canyon. Laura, do we buy the National Park Pass from recreation.gov? You can in some cases, but I would just buy it when you get to the park. Are they keeping certain shuttle stops closed for the summer? Yes. They are. They are keeping certain shuttle stops closed, plus, and this is what you're saying, how Weeping Rock and Hidden Valley Observation Point, yeah. So that one is closed because if you see it, it's actually a massive landslide, just like completely destroyed that area. So it's pretty crazy, but that's why they're not running that shuttle stop at all. Okay, Carrie, how much do tickets cost? I think they're just $1 a person, if I remember right. And also it's not refundable, these reservations for any of the parks. You can cancel them, but you won't get they're called reservation fees. You won't get those back, but in most cases it's just $1 or $2. Okay, Cindy, what if I book 7 a.m. and I am late? Then they may try to fit you in. They may also just turn you away. So don't be late. Book for the time that you can get there. Robin, can you book multiple days of tickets on the same reservation? Or do you suggest getting tickets specific for one day? My personal theory is that the sooner you can push add to cart on recreation.gov, the better. So if you're trying to get multiple days, if the park makes it easy for you to get those multiple days pretty quickly, then it's usually okay. But if it's not looking easy and you can't keep clicking add to cart, then I would just do them separately, because you're not locked in. Even if it says it's available, and even if it says that there's still some left, you're not locked into it until you click the add to cart button, and those can get swiped out from underneath you, even if it looks like you're going to get it. So you really just you have to get on right at the time, and you have to say, this is what I need, add to cart. And that's what you have to do. Or you won't get them, because people, as people hit add to cart, it will get pulled out from underneath you. So just because you have it selected, doesn't mean you'll get it. You have to click the add to cart button as quickly as possible. Cindy, I have a national park pass. Is it good for the other 3 people in the car? Yeah, it's per vehicle. That's for the entrance fee, not for the shuttle reservation. Sue, can you drive to the museum and park in that parking lot to be there for sunrise? Yeah, you can drive to the museum, you can drive to the visitor center, you can drive to any of those places. You just can't drive up past Canyon Junction north. And they have a big gate there, like you can't miss it. It will say you can't come this way. Okay. Erin, can you book multiple days, planning to be in Zion for 4 days and worried? Yeah, I mean, that really is the worry. And especially if you have a family of 8, I mean, you're trying to get a lot of tickets. So if you're trying to get multiple days and they release all those days all at once, and this is why I hate when they do like the bulk release. Like I really like the day-by-day release so that you have a fighting chance to get multiple days. Because, yeah, when you're trying to get multiple days and they release them all at once, it makes it very hard to get all of the reservations that you need. So I would have some plan Bs. I'd try to get all the ones that you can. You can try the night before to get them at 5 p.m., but those are going very, very quickly. So definitely that's the real challenge of it. Let's see, Suzanne, we were about 7 minutes late for the shuttle and they let you on and no problem. Yeah, if you're a few minutes late, I don't think they'll turn you away, but as you know, they have like set amount of people that they can accommodate per hour. And so if you're not gonna show up relatively close to the time you booked, then they may not be able to accommodate you because all the other passes would have been taken. So, okay. Victoria, I tried getting tickets on Friday. They went quickly, and now I can't order till the day before. Yeah, wondering if why it didn't indicate I could try on the 30th. Oh, because on the 30th, they're releasing tickets for later in the month. So if on the 15th they release, okay, so for example, this is pretty much what they're doing. So on like the 16th, when they release them for the 16th, they're releasing tickets for the first 2 weeks of the next month. And so when they do it on the 30th, then they're doing it for the last 2 weeks of the next month. So when, they won't re-release those on the 30th. That was already the bulk release. So now you'll have to go for the night before tickets. Robin, if it's in your cart, then is it safe? They hold your cart for like 15 minutes and that's it. So you've got to check out pretty fast. So, okay, Suzanne, if you can't get into Zion, go to Bryce Canyon. It's beautiful. There's a lot of really cool things to do in that area. So, yes. Okay, I'm not seeing any more. Oh, hold on. Oh, Trisha, sorry, Trisha. How early do you suggest getting to the park in terms of having to wait in the line to get in? So the line to get in anymore isn't that long. It was really long because people were trying to get into the area where the shuttle wasn't running at the time. So anyway, this was last year during COVID. You guys don't need to know this anymore. But the line to get in typically is not terrible. What is a problem is the parking at the visitor center. So if you're going to be there anytime later in the morning or the afternoon, then you probably should just park in Springdale and take the shuttle in. But if you're getting there early enough, then the line shouldn't be too long and you should be able to get parking. But if there's no parking at the visitor center, there's really like not very many places you can go, unless you keep driving. Okay, Dave, there are no cars allowed on the Canyon Road in the park. Yeah, exactly. Well, so no cars allowed on the Zion Canyon Scenic Drive. But there are cars allowed on Highway 9 as you're driving up to the Zion Mount Carmel Tunnel and over into the east entrance of the park. That whole area, you can drive your own car. So that's where it gets confusing, is the Zion Canyon Scenic Drive is where there are no cars allowed when the shuttle is running. And the shuttle is running, so there are no cars allowed right now. And there won't be. It's very rare to get to drive up in there in your own car. Usually the shuttle is running. So if you want to go in that area, you need shuttle tickets, or you need an e-bike, or you need a private shuttle that you've hired that's authorized to do that. So, okay. Sarah, I need to get 4 tickets for 2 days at Zion. Do you think it would help if I try to get 4 tickets for the first day while my husband tries to get 4 tickets for the second day? Yes. Yep, I would do that. If you can enlist somebody to help you who's going to be on the trip with you, they have to be there. You can't just have a random friend get a permit for you or a reservation for you, because they're going to have to be there with you. Sue, the museum is on the shuttle route. Is photographing. It's on the shuttle route, but it's not part of Zion Canyon, so you can drive to the museum. It's not part of the part where the cars are not available or not allowed to drive. So, which time zone for Zion? It's the Mountain time zone. It is Denver time, Salt Lake City time, not Arizona time. So, okay. Awesome, you guys. Let me just look through here to see if I have any more questions. Again, for Zion, you do not need a reservation to enter the park. You just need a reservation to ride the shuttle up Zion Canyon Scenic Drive. So as you look at the map, I highly suggest looking at the map and going through this part of the video again, because it's a very specific part of the park where those reservations are required. Okay, let's see. Lori, do you have to be 18 to have a recreation.gov account? Thinking of having the kids try? No, they have to be 18. So it will have to be an adult who is going with you. Okay, so I think that pretty much does it for me. I know there's a few other like outline questions that don't go with any of these specific parks. I will answer those in the comments. Again, if the park wasn't listed or we didn't talk about it today, then reservations are not needed at this point. Extra reservations are not needed at this point. So I just wanted to hit on the ones that are like adding in an extra element of surprise for us this year. And I hope that was helpful. I will try to be available to answer all your questions about these as much as I can. If you need any extra help though, I have my itineraries on dirtandmyshoes.com. If you click on trip itineraries, I have itineraries for all of these parks. And with the itinerary comes step-by-step instructions. It comes with additional advice and additional suggestions, ways around things, how to like make your schedule so that it works with the reservations that are needed. So that is an option if you'd like some of my extra tips and some extra help. So thank you again for being here. I really appreciate you, and we'll talk again soon. Have a good one.